So you mentioned raising our voltage. So how is that different than raising our vibration, which is something that we talk a lot about? Those of us that are in the personal growth community, we talk about focusing on the good, focusing on what's positive, doing things that we love, that raises our vibration. How is raising voltage different?
I used to use the same terminology, I think, about the high vibe and raising your vibration. For me, as a researcher, as a sound therapist, and as a writer, I think a lot about the words that I use and how they make me feel and what they really mean. And with this idea of raising our vibration, like, I totally get it. It means that we want to aspire in ourselves to what is noble and good and right and true and free and healthy and clear and all of that good stuff. To rise to the potential of our own, I think, essential nobility that we have is in our human spirits. But when we talk about going up, like, there's a kind of going up thing that happens, that this idea that higher is somehow better, and that we want to get away from what is low and base, and that's bad, and higher is good. And that particular movement in the body also really ties into people who've had trauma and a tendency to disassociate. There's a kind of, it's too unpleasant here, so I'm going to go kind of up, and away. And I think that there's a lot of expectation in it of, like, trying to have high vibes, like it's something you need to uphold. Even technically, this idea that higher frequencies are somehow better than lower frequencies is really an error in thinking. When our brain is in delta, that's when we sleep. That's when we rest. It's really important. Certain monks and meditators bring their brainwaves into really low states. There are frequencies in the universe that are light waves across from crest to trough, like unimaginably low frequencies. All frequencies, every single frequency is part of creation. And I think that what we're really looking for, that we don't necessarily want to raise our vibration. We want to clarify our vibration. We want to bring ourselves in tune. We want to find our own vibrational sweet spot. I really feel like, for me, my journey towards health and success, if you will, in solving the problems that I was faced with on really every level of my life, it's been more an experience of descending into my body, occupying my body, really healing and occupying those lower energy centers where those unpleasant energies of, like, guilt and shame and things like that live, really transmuting and digesting those, and understanding that emotions like guilt and shame are important that we feel. If we don't have any shame, then we become a psychopath. Like, all of our emotions are necessary in delivering messages to us to keep us healthy. And we don't want to push away shame or guilt, because that leads to self-righteousness and blame. And I see a lot of spiritual people really engaged in a lot of self-righteousness. Maybe they're trying really hard to not feel their own shame or guilt or whatever. But it's important that we say yes to every emotion that we feel, because we're human, and we're not Buddha, we're not Christ. We're human beings navigating an incredibly complex environment, and we're going to be tired, and we're going to be impatient, and we're going to be angry, and we're going to be human. And I think that it's more important to be real about how we're feeling and to talk about how we're feeling than to try to high vibe our way out of it. I think it's more important that we're real about how we feel, and that we find ways to express those emotions and move them through, so that we can find the spaciousness on the other side. Because when we deny what we consider to be bad or negative emotions, we end up doing what I call purple washing, or spiritual bypassing, where instead of acknowledging that you're angry and that you need to set a boundary, you're going for the chocolate or the wine instead, and trying to high five out of those uncomfortable feelings. So I prefer the idea of getting in tune, and also raising our voltage, raising the amount of electrical energy that is available for all our bodily systems to function right. And it's basically another way for increasing your energy. But it's in a more concrete terminology, as far as, like, really understanding the electrical system and how creating resistance, like judging a particular emotion or judging yourself and not allowing yourself to express yourself or speak your truth. That creates resistance. So any emotion that we try to judge or hold back or label as negative creates resistance in our system. And there's lots of people out there trying to be good and nice and high vibey who are fibromyalgia, who have lupus, who have Epstein-Barr, who have no energy because they're not being real about how they're really feeling and finding ways to express that in healthy ways without guilt. It's okay to have a lot of difficult feelings. It's so normal. Kids do. Like, kids express them and they get them out and then they go play. And we can do the same thing as adults. We need to, actually.